Okay, in this video I'd like to talk about using Adobe Digital Negative Converter or DNG Converter to convert Sony RAW files into the Adobe DNG format. Now, I take a lot of photographs. I use a Sony A6000 and I find that the files are pretty huge. My camera is a 24 megapixel camera, and I found with Sony the RAW files, as you can see here, they all come out in the same megapixels as there are pixels in your camera. So for example, my 24 megapixel camera gives me files roughly about 24 megabytes, 25 almost. When I had a 16 megapixel camera, it was 16 megabytes. So when you take a lot of photographs, it starts to add up, it starts to really get into your hard drive space. And it gets expensive, and for the vast majority of my photographs, I want to keep them, but they're not the most precious photos to me. If it was something like a portrait or a wedding photo, then those I'd want to keep the originals, but for a lot of the photos that I take, a DNG copy is just as good. So what I do is I convert my files to DNG, but I use certain settings which I'll show you here. So kind of working backwards, if you go into the preferences number 4, this is what I do. I select the most recent version of the camera RAW format. I choose to have a JPEG that is inside of the RAW file that it creates, but I say medium just to help speed things up a bit. And again, embed fast load data for the same reason. Now this is the most important bit, is to use compression. Now, if I don't use compression at all, the DNG file is often bigger than the Sony file, so it's absolutely pointless. I just leave it to its setting to reserve the same pixels. So if it's 24 megapixels from the Sony, it will be 24 megapixels in the DNG file. And I do not choose to embed the RAW file because that would make it absolutely huge, so it's pointless doing that. So this is the settings I use. I basically set up so it has the input, so this is where I keep my original files, which you've just seen. This is where I'm going to store my processed DNG files, and I kind of had this format of putting the year and the month first, followed by a description of what the photos are about. And what I do is I just choose to keep the same file name. So just document name, although with capital letters if it's not already there. I use the DNG file extension and just hit convert. Now what's happening is it's counting the files. It says 192 and it's processing them. And it's going fairly quickly. Obviously the more powerful the PC you have, the quicker it will do it. So I'm using just a single core processor, but it's running at 4.4 gigahertz, so it's not too bad a PC. What you'll find is that the DNG file is roughly about 7 megabytes for this camera at least. So it's quite a saving, 24, 25 megapixels for the Sony, about 7 or 8 megapixels for the DNG file. And it does use compression, but it's almost impossible to see it in most photos. So I think, for your general photos, if you're looking for a way to keep, pretty much the same quality in all your photographs, but save a lot in hard drive space, then I would certainly consider converting your files to the DNG file format. I hope this information helps. Thank you very much.